What's up, everyone? Today we are going to go over some NBA player props for Monday, February 9th. Let's get right into it. Now, before we get into today's picks, we got to do a quick little recap for yesterday's picks. Now, we had Scotty Barnes over 14.5 rebounds and assists, and Rudy Gobert over 11.5 rebounds. Now, we had a 1-1 day, which brings us to a 16-5 run on NBA props. Now, let's talk about Scotty Barnes real quick. He went off to a little bit of a slow start, but in the second half he came through quite easily. He ends at 20 rebounds and assists. Great matchup against the Pacers, and he came through. Rudy Gobert, on the other hand, did not. He ends at 7 rebounds. This one was a blowout. The Wolves lose again to a team they probably should have beat. The Clippers, they had a great night shooting. For pretty much the entire game, they were over 50% from the field. And, when that happens, it's hard for guys to get the rebounds because there's just not as many opportunities. It's a 1-1 day, not the best, but we're still doing great in February, so let's keep it going today. All right, everyone, let's jump into Props Edge to check out our first prop of the day. You can use code Budford for 20% off your first month. And today we are going with Isaiah Collier over 10.5 assists. Today, the Utah Jazz are playing the Miami Heat, and this matchup should be insane for points here. I mean, look at this total. We got a total of 250.5. That's ridiculous. And think about it, that means each team is projected for 125 points. The reason for that is that both of these teams play at an absurdly fast pace. You see here, Miami ranks number 1, and I'll tell you right now, the Utah Jazz aren't far behind. They're in the top 3 as well. And obviously, that means lots of offensive possessions moving up and down the court, passes going everywhere, shots flying, baskets being made, and that's how you get to this 250 total. And so you might be sitting here looking at the season hit rate of 5 of 45, and yeah, that's pretty bad. But what's big here is Keyonte George. He is out again. He hurt his ankle after he came back from an ankle injury, and now he's out. And so we'll take a look at the games without Keyonte George. And you see here, these last two especially, and he played all 48 minutes in each of them. And you look at these potential assist numbers, they're absurd. 30 potential assists, 29 potential assists, 22 assists against the Pacers, 11 against the Hawks. Even these other ones, you see 21 potentials against the Clippers, he had 10 assists here. 15 again against the Clippers, it's 9 assists. And then they played the Raptors, he had 12 and 7 assists. Now, just to show you his last game, which Keyonte didn't play much of because he injured his ankle, you see here he had 18 potential assists against the Orlando Magic, converting on 10 of them, so falling just 1 assist shy. Now we'll scroll down here to show you who leads the team in potential assists. As you can see, Isaiah Collier is right up there with Keyonte George. And Isaiah is averaging 13.2 potential assists. Keontae's averaging 11.6. Now, if Keyonte sits right, that's 11.6 potential assists out there for grabs. But as we just saw with those last few games, Isaiah Collier is getting a lot of these potential assists. I mean, that's how you get to numbers like 30 potential assists, 29 potential assists. Most of these 11.6 potential assists are going straight to Isaiah Collier. Now, if we take a look here, the Miami Heat are actually one of the best matchups for point guards to rack up assists. They rank 24th in the NBA in assists allowed to point guards, averaging 9 per game. Let's take a look at the head-to-head numbers here. See, we've got 3 games. 12 potential assists, converted on 9. 16 also ended with 9 assists. 10 potentials and 6 assists. In this one, it was a 36-point blowout. He only played 24 minutes. This one was without Keyonte George, but he still had 16 potentials, just 2 away from hitting our number of 11 here. This one, Keyonte played. He only played 20 minutes, and it was a 30-point blowout. So obviously, with Keyonte out, and Isaiah's going to play a lot of minutes here, and with those extra minutes in this matchup, we should be able to get 11 assists here. Now there could be some concern of a blowout here. There is an 8.5 point spread, and the Jazz aren't trying to win games. We saw it with the Orlando Magic. The Jazz were actually up by quite a bit, and then they started resting their big players in the fourth quarter. But Isaiah Collier wasn't really one of those guys. He still got 30 minutes. They pulled JJJ, they pulled Lauri Markkanen, and that's when the tank really started to set in, right? But the Jazz can be competitive in these games, so it's not like he can't rack up 11 assists before the fourth quarter and then they start doing their tanking shenanigans. Also, you can take a look at Miami's injury report here. Hero, he didn't make the road trip for Miami, so I wouldn't expect him to play here. And if he does, he will be on a heavy minutes restriction because he's been out quite a while now. Norm Powell, he left the last game yesterday with back tightness, so he's up in the air. And then you got Terry Rozier down here, who we don't have to worry about for non-injury related reasons. I'm sure you all know about that. And we actually can take a look at the assist heat map for Isaiah Collier here. So these are where his assists come from. And so you see 27% above the break threes, 17% in the paint, and 35% come in the restricted area. Now we can look at where Miami's defense ranks. And they're not particularly amazing anywhere. They rank third in mid-range defense, but that's really the only area where they are exceptional. And they're 18th in above the break three defense, 21st in corner three, and 14th in restricted area defense. So okay all around, right? 28th in the paint, so that could be good for us. Either way, this is a great matchup with the pace spot. This total is sky high at 250. I like Isaiah Collier to go over 10.5 assists. Now real quick before we get into our second play, if you like these types of plays and analysis and you want them in written form every morning, you can follow me at x.com/budfordsbets. I post the plays every morning and you can get them sent straight to your phone if you turn the notifications on. Alright everyone, hopping back into Props Edge, and our second pick is Pat Spencer over 20.5 points plus assists. Now it finally seems like Steve Kerr is ready to give Pat Spencer a bigger role in this Warriors team. Now that Curry is out, Jimmy Butler's gone, and so this Warriors team is lacking in playmaking, they're lacking in scoring, they're lacking in a lot of areas really. You look at this depth chart, Curry out, and now you got Pat Spencer, you got DeAnthony Melton, Pods, Will Richard, and you got GP2. So there's not a lot of offensive creativity in here. Melton, he's been good in spots. Pods, what everyone thinks about Pods. Pat Spencer, he's played well. You take a look at these games. These are games without Steph Curry, without Jimmy Butler, and 25 minutes played. That's what he's gotten over his last three here. See, the last three games, 26 minutes played, 32 minutes played, and 28 minutes played. He's covered in two of these three, going 21 against the Lakers and 24 against the Suns. He had 16 against the 76ers, but it was a blowout. You see in these four other games, you have two more unders, both of which were blowouts. 25-point blowout against the Timberwolves, 37-point blowout against the Thunder. And you got two more overs against the Cavs and the Heat, 24-26. Obviously, the Thunder and the Timberwolves are much tougher defensively than the matchup today, which is the Memphis Grizzlies. Take a look at the rankings. Not particularly great at anything. 20th in overall points, 17th in overall rebounds. They're actually bottom 10 in three-point defense. Look at the matchup for point guards. 18th in points allowed, 11th in assists allowed, 27th in three-pointers allowed. Now the individual scoring matchup for Pat Spencer is pretty good. The Grizzlies ranked 19th in spot-up defense and 21st in pick-and-roll ball handler defense, which account for 58% of Pat Spencer's points. Now let's look at the shot zones. 35% of Pat Spencer's points come as above the break threes. The Memphis Grizzlies rank 24th in above the break three defense. Another 23% come in the paint. The Grizzlies rank 19th there. 21% in the restricted area. The Grizzlies rank 13th there. Now let's take a look at who's getting all the potential assists for the Warriors. As you can see, Pat Spencer averages 6.7 potential assists per game. Draymond Green averages 9.9. And then there's a big void here. Jimmy Butler, 10.7 potential assists. Steph Curry, 8.9 potential assists. Those are all up for grabs. Paz, you see he's got 7.4 potential assists here. And then everyone else is under 5. So really, without Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, it's all Pat Spencer, Brandon Pajemski, and Draymond Green. Now if we take a look at the overall game environment, the Warriors are 7.5 point favorites at home. The total is set at 225, so it's a medium amount of points, right? The Grizzlies rank 7th in pace and 20th in defensive rating. Overall, this should be a pretty good game for Pat Spencer to have an impact. Now overall, if you've watched a lot of Warriors games, when Pat Spencer has been given the opportunity to play, he's shown that, he can play at the NBA level. He's not completely out of his depth here. So you can see with 20 plus minutes, he's averaging 19.4 points plus assists. Some of these are against pretty good teams. The OKC Thunder, very good defense. Just the last 2 games alone against the Lakers and the Suns, he started these games and he's shown that he can play. Right? You see 6 of 11 from the field. He's got 4 assists on 13 potentials. Against the Lakers, 6 of 12 from the field, 7 assists on 15 potentials. It's not like he's just some G League guy, right? He can play. And so I'm going to take Pat Spencer over 20.5 points plus assists. Alright everyone, our third and final prop for today is Marcus Smart over 13.5 points plus assists. Now, I love this spot without Luka Doncic. As you can see here, he is over in 5 out of 5 without Luka, averaging 18.8 points plus assists. Now, some of these do include games without LeBron or without Reeves, so we'll add them both in here. And you can see there's been 2 games without Luka and with LeBron and Reeves playing. In both of these games, he's been right around 20 points plus assists. Now they're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder at home, but Shea is still out, so this should be a fairly competitive game, provided Reeves and LeBron do play a decent amount of minutes. Now this is the front end of a back-to-back for the Lakers, and it's a tough back-to-back as well. They play the Spurs on the following day, so they could be careful with Reeves and LeBron's minutes here. Obviously LeBron is old, so he's been taking it easy on back-to-backs for a while now, although he did play both legs of a back-to-back just a month ago. And Reeves, as we all know, is coming off an injury, so he's on a minutes restriction anyway. Either way, either of those guys getting minutes reduced would mean more playmaking responsibilities for Marcus Smart. Now, I do like the assists on their own. As you can see here, the line is at 3.5 for plus money. I think that's great. But obviously, Reeves and LeBron are going to draw the tougher defensive matchups like Lou Dort. And the Thunder will allow the role players of opposing teams to take their shots from 3-point range. You look here, they rank 30th in spot-up points allowed. That's 33% of Marcus Smart's points. Because obviously Marcus Smart is the kind of guy who, if he's not handling the ball himself, he's going to be sitting in the corner waiting for the ball on kickouts. You can see here 38% of his shots come as above the break threes, another 22% come as corner threes. So that's 60% of the shots. And this is a fairly low line for the amount of usage he should be getting without Luka Doncic in this game. On top of that, Reeves is on a minutes restriction coming off his injury. To me, this is a great spot for Marcus Smart. As long as he can hit a few shots, pick up a few assists, he should be able to get over this line of 13.5 points plus assists. Alright guys, that'll wrap it up for today's video for Monday, February 9th. To recap, we have 3 picks for today. It is Isaiah Collier over 10.5 assists, Pat Spencer over 20.5 points plus assists, and Marcus Smart over 13.5 points plus assists. If you like this type of analysis, you can like and subscribe for more videos, or if you would like to receive these plays in written form, you can follow me at x.com/budfordsbets. Have a great day everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow.